Well, hi there, gang. I'm back in the woods again, and this time for a video which is going to be maybe not quite so happy as some of the other ones I've shot. Now, if you spend a lot of time in the woods, as I do, then eventually you're going to run across something like this, which is what I'm going to show you in a second. And is it a happy thing? It's not so happy. It's not also all that sad either. What I'm going to show you in a moment, and I would put your seatbelts on if I were you, is nature. It's just an example of nature. We mentioned, of course, in first term when we were talking about life and insects and all, we talked about the food chain. Well, what you're going to see is an example of the food chain in action. What I've run across in the woods here is the remains of a deer that has been, unfortunately, has come to the end of its life and has been most likely attacked and killed by some coyotes. So I'll show you what's left of the deer. Get ready. Okay. So there it is there. So as you can see, it has been on the floor of the forest here, likely for quite some time, certainly weeks, and perhaps even more than that. And largely, there's really not much left of the little deer except the skeleton. So you'll see that up in this area, there's the top of the skull and his teeth, upper teeth. And you'll see here, that's his backbone and some ribs right here. His backbone continues down this way. There's his pelvic bone. And there, if you look down this way, you'll see some of the longer leg bones heading off in this direction. Now, strangely, over here, right there, you'll see the lower jaw bone of the deer. And so that's been detached from the head. So I suppose what has happened is that the coyotes, after they killed the poor little deer, have pulled various parts off here and there and fed it to different members of their pack. You'll also notice that there are some parts missing. That is one leg section with the long leg bones back here, but you'll maybe notice that the other leg, which would fit right on the pelvis there, is missing. So the one back leg is missing, the left back leg, and also there are no front legs whatsoever. So it's very possible that, again, the coyotes would have taken parts away once the carcass was largely eaten, I suppose, to feed other members of their pack. Now also, after the coyotes left, it's very possible other animals came and had a meal as well. I won't get too close to some parts because I don't want to make you guys feel uncomfortable, but I will show you the ribs, which are interesting, because you can probably see that the ribs have actually been largely nibbled away. The ribs are very slender, thin bones, and you know, a lot of animals like to chew on bones. They're quite nutritious, so the ribs would have been much larger when the deer was alive. The parts, of course, remain, but a lot of it has been nibbled at the end, and I'm not sure that's coyotes. By the nibble marks, I would say that's probably a smaller animal. So maybe some smaller rodents or even some birds would have had a chance to have a feast on what remained of the poor little deer. Notice also that over here in this area, you'll see that a large amount of the fur still remains. So there's a large collection of fur right here. That won't decompose all that well. It'll sit there on top of the forest floor, but I think other animals will use that. Birds have been known to pick up fluffy things like that and use them in their nests. So even that will get used. And of course, right now, there is insect activity. There are worms and there are flies and that sort of thing that, of course, are very, very happy to be here and eat what's left. So everything that was useful in the deer has been put back into the soil and has been eaten by various animals. And so really, you can't be too unhappy about that. That is simply nature and the circle of life. Now, the next part's not so pleasant either, and I won't be filming that. But when I first saw this, I said, you know, there's so much gone, and there's really not much left except the skeleton. So really, it wouldn't be such a bad idea to have parts of this back in the classroom. So I've brought some protective equipment. I've brought some rubber gloves, 2 rubber gloves actually, sets. And I've brought this bucket over here, which you'll see to my right. And my plan is to very, very carefully glove up and suit up so that I can carefully remove some bones into that bucket and take them home. Now, I won't take them inside the house because there is certainly bacteria and insect activity on that skeleton right now, and I want to be careful and safe. So I'll keep these parts outside until I have a chance to boil them, actually. I'll be heating them up and making sure that all those bacterias and anything else potentially has been removed. So my hope is that before the end of the year, if we get back into the classroom, I'll be able to show you the parts I've taken. And not only that, if things work out well, and I think they likely will, with my preparation of the bones, then I might have another video which shows you what I've discovered. It's a wonderful learning experience. And I do this with a heavy heart because, of course, I love the deer. They're beautiful to see as they go through the fields and forests around here. But once again, this is nature. It's the circle of life, so we can't feel too sorry. The coyotes have to live as well, and so do the little tiny animals and birds and even the bugs and worms. So there it is. Anyway, off I go now to my job.